Hey folks, before we dive in, I just want to remind you to stay connected with SkyAlert USA for all your critical weather updates. If you like what you see, please support us by subscribing, liking, and dropping a comment below. It really helps us out and keeps you in the loop for future videos. SkyAlert USA, Major Winter Storm and Arctic Blast Update, January 29th, 2026. Hello everyone, and welcome back to SkyAlert USA, your trusted source for critical weather updates across North America. I'm bringing you an urgent weather briefing on January 29th, 2026, as we continue to monitor one of the most significant winter weather events to impact the United States and Canada in recent years. The historic Winter Storm Fern, aftermath and ongoing impacts. Over the past week, North America has been gripped by what meteorologists are calling a potentially historic winter storm system. Winter Storm Fern, as it has been unofficially named by the Weather Channel, has left an unprecedented trail of snow, ice and destruction across more than 24 states, stretching from the Mexico-United States border all the way into Canada, a staggering distance of nearly 2,000 miles. As of today, January 29th, the official death toll from this massive storm system has reached 62 fatalities, making this one of the deadliest winter weather events in recent memory. The human cost of this disaster cannot be overstated, and our hearts go out to all those affected by this catastrophic event. The storm developed from an upper-level low on January 22nd and steadily moved eastward across the central United States, depositing massive amounts of wintry precipitation. By January 25th, the system had transformed into a nor'easter as it reached the northeast, bringing gusty winds and heavy snowfall to New England. The National Weather Service's Weather Prediction Center issued storm summary bulletins through January 26th as the system finally pulled away from the coastline. Power outages and infrastructure damage. One of the most devastating impacts of Winter Storm Fern has been the widespread power outages affecting over 1 million customers at the storm's peak. As of January 27th, more than 500,000 people remained without electricity, creating critical life safety concerns in the prolonged extreme cold. The majority of these outages are concentrated in the southern states, where a crippling ice storm caused power lines and trees to snap and collapse under the weight of ice accumulation. President Donald Trump has approved 12 federal emergency disaster declarations for affected states, including Arkansas, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia. These declarations enable states to request federal expertise and resources to protect lives, property, public health, and safety. FEMA and other federal agencies are coordinating with state, local, and tribal governments to support response and recovery efforts, deploying personnel and staging essential supplies, including generators, food, water, medical supply kits, cots, and blankets. More than 20 state governors issued emergency declarations in anticipation of the storm, demonstrating the unprecedented scale of this weather event. Snowfall and ice accumulation records, The snowfall totals from this storm have been extraordinary, let me tell you. A large swathe of accumulation, ranging from 1 to 2 feet, stretched all the way from Texas clear through to Maine. In several spots, especially down south, daily snowfall records were just shattered. Boston Logan International Airport got a whopping 23.2 inches of snow, making it the 8th highest snow accumulation on record for Boston. This was the first winter storm to drop more than 1 foot of snow on Boston since January 29, 2022, exactly 4 years ago today. Sterling, Massachusetts, recorded 22 inches of snow, and many areas across New England saw over 20 inches of accumulation by early afternoon on January 26th. The snow didn't come alone either. Strong winds whipped up blizzard conditions in a lot of places, making it tough to see much of anything. For the mid-Atlantic states and Northeast, where the storm turned into a nor'easter, cities along the Interstate 95 corridor got their heaviest snowfall in 5 years. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and New York City saw their most significant snow since a nor'easter back in February 2021. And the ice storm that hit the southern states was especially destructive. Meteorologists have been comparing the ice impacts to what happened in January 2018, with some areas seeing ice accumulation that really rivaled that historic event. The mix of freezing rain and sleet made for downright treacherous conditions that'll be affecting these regions for days to come. Severe weather and tornadoes too, as if the snow and ice weren't enough. Adding to the chaos, a line of severe storms brought widespread wind damage and several confirmed tornadoes in southern Alabama, southwestern Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle on January 25th. At the peak of it, 5 tornado warnings were active all at once. 5 tornadoes touched down across Alabama and Florida, with 1 tornado rated EF2. That means significant damage potential with winds between 111 and 135 miles per hour. Wind gusts reached 71 miles per hour in Montgomery, Alabama, just making those dangerous conditions even worse. Travel disruptions have really been something else. The impact on air travel has been severe, and honestly, it's still ongoing. On January 25th, Massachusetts State Police responded to 149 crashes and 234 disabled vehicles by 8 p.m., with 7 injuries reported from the crashes. 493 flights arriving at and departing from Boston Logan International Airport were cancelled by 10:30 p.m. that night. By January 26th, over 500 flights at Boston Logan International Airport were cancelled. On a national level, more than 8,500 flight delays and 1,700 cancellations happened on January 25th. And then more than 650 delays and 600 cancellations the next day. New York's 3 major airports were among the hardest hit by all these disruptions. All right, so as we assess the situation today, January 29th, the immediate threat from Winter Storm Fern has passed. But, well, we are far from out of danger. In fact, the weather pattern is setting up for an extended period of dangerous cold that'll affect the eastern 2/3 of the United States, and honestly, much of Canada too. The National Weather Service reports that frigid temperatures are set to continue throughout much of the eastern United States. According to their short-range forecast discussion, a series of slow-moving upper-level troughs will keep progressing into the Pacific Northwest region over the next few days, while the eastern United States just stays under the grip of Arctic air. Now, today's temperatures across the Northeast are running well below normal, let me tell you. In New York City, the high temperature is expected to reach only 32 degrees Fahrenheit, with a low of 28 degrees. Philadelphia is experiencing even colder conditions, with a high of just 19 degrees and a low of 16 degrees, plus northwest winds at 13 miles per hour. Chicago's seeing slightly milder conditions with a high of 34 degrees and a low of 32 degrees. The National Weather Service in Philadelphia has issued a briefing warning of a dangerous stretch of cold through the rest of the week, with key messages including dangerously cold wind chills between -15 degrees and 0 degrees Fahrenheit. These conditions, they create an increased risk of hypothermia and frostbite for anyone spending extended time outdoors. Looking ahead to the weekend, the Weather Prediction Center is tracking a developing coastal low that'll bring heavy snow starting Friday, January 30th. This system is being closely monitored, since, it has the potential to bring significant additional snowfall to areas still recovering from Winter Storm Fern. The extended forecast discussion warns of a significant east coastal winter storm threat this weekend, along with a central to eastern U.S. hazardous cold threat into next week. Meteorologists note that uncertainty remains regarding the exact track and intensity of this upper trough. But, continued consolidation of ensemble forecast suites is increasing confidence in a significant winter weather event. While the East deals with dangerous cold and snow threats, the Pacific Northwest is experiencing its own challenging weather pattern. A series of slow-moving upper-level troughs continue to affect the region, generating several surface-level frontal systems. These systems are bringing above-average moisture content, and combined with strong onshore flow, heavy precipitation is expected in upslope regions of northwest Washington and the coastal regions of Oregon over the next few days. The seemingly endless cyclonic flow that has kept lake-effect snow cranking over the snow belts of the Great Lakes is set to continue through the remainder of the work week. Frigid 850 millibar temperatures around -18 to -24 degrees Celsius, well below the 10th climatological percentile, are creating ideal conditions for heavy lake-effect snow. According to the Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory, Lake Erie is effectively ice-covered, limiting available moisture there, while Lake Superior and Ontario remain largely open. Westerly to northwesterly low-level winds continue today before the approach of a sharp 500 millibar shortwave shifts winds more out of the north by late Thursday. This pattern could place the Chicago area under the influence of a Lake Michigan single-banded lake-effect snow streamer. Thursday, January 30th. The pattern remains dominated by Arctic air across the eastern two-thirds of the nation. A developing coastal low will begin to organize off the southeast coast, with precipitation likely beginning as snow across the interior mid-Atlantic and northeast. The Pacific Northwest will continue to see periods of rain and mountain snow. High temperatures will struggle to reach above freezing across most of the Northeast and Great Lakes. New York City may see a high near 36 degrees with cloudy skies and a 40% chance of flurries. Toronto, Canada faces very cold wind chill values with a high around 37 degrees. Chicago temperatures will range from 34 to 37 degrees. Wind chill values will make it feel significantly colder than actual temperatures, with dangerous wind chills between -15 and 0 degrees across much of the northeast. Friday, January 31st. The coastal low intensifies and moves northward along the east coast. Heavy snow is expected to develop across portions of the southeast, mid-Atlantic and northeast. This could be a significant snowfall event for areas from North Carolina through New England. The National Weather Service warns that this system has the potential to bring heavy snow beginning Friday and continuing into Saturday. Mountain regions and interior areas are likely to see the highest snow totals, with coastal areas possibly mixing with or changing to sleet and freezing rain. New York City and Philadelphia could see accumulating snow, with forecast models suggesting several inches possible. Chicago will see temperatures dropping to the mid-30s, with continued chances for lake-effect snow. Very cold wind chill values will persist across Canada and the northern United States, creating dangerous conditions for anyone who must be outdoors. Saturday, February 1st. The coastal storm continues to impact New England and the Canadian Maritimes with heavy snow and strong winds. Blizzard conditions are possible in some areas due to the combination of heavy snow and gusty winds. Behind this system, another surge of Arctic air will plunge southward from Canada, affecting the Great Lakes, Midwest, and eventually the East Coast. This will be the next in a series of Arctic blasts that will maintain the dangerous cold pattern into early February. According to the Climate Prediction Center's Hazards Outlook, bitterly cold temperatures are forecast across the eastern continental United States during the upcoming week, which will help maintain any snowpack. The persistence of the cold pattern is associated with a strong negative phase of the Arctic Oscillation, currently at around -5 standard deviations, an extremely rare and significant meteorological pattern. Well, folks, the extended forecast is pretty concerning. Additional outbreaks of Arctic air are predicted to continue into at least early February. The Climate Prediction Center has posted a slight risk of much below normal temperatures for most areas east of the Mississippi River through the week 2 period, specifically from February 4th through February 10th. Early in the second week of the forecast period, there's about a 20% chance of freezing temperatures reaching as far south as north-central Florida, with a 20% chance of a hard freeze, 28 degrees Fahrenheit, as far south as the Georgia-Florida state line. The 10-degree Fahrenheit line has a 20% probability of reaching as far south as the Ohio River and as far east as the western suburbs of the Interstate 95 corridor from New York City to Washington, D.C. Now, our neighbors to the north are also experiencing severe winter conditions. Toronto is under a very cold wind chill warning, with partly cloudy skies and a 40% chance of flurries this evening and after midnight. Local blowing snow is expected early this evening, with wind chill values making conditions feel dangerously cold. The forecast for Canada indicates that average temperatures across much of the country are running 5 to 10 degrees below normal, and this pattern is expected to continue through early February. Multiple waves of Arctic air will continue to sweep across Canada, bringing periods of heavy lake-effect snow and dangerous wind chills. Across the prairie provinces and Ontario, the worst cold will persist, with temperatures 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit below normal for this time of year. The polar vortex has effectively divided North America into two halves, extreme cold in the east and milder conditions in the west. The current extreme cold is the result of a disrupted polar vortex, an area of strong winds that normally encircles the Arctic and keeps the coldest air locked near the North Pole. This winter, a rare sudden stratospheric warming event in late 2025 effectively broke the polar vortex, allowing lobes of Arctic air to plunge deep into North America. Over the next few weeks, the major shift of the polar vortex's southerly lobe will send multiple cold outbreaks from Canada into the eastern two-thirds of the continental United States. These waves of Arctic blasts will bring clipper systems and occasional intense lake-effect snow and snow squalls from the Midwest to the Northeast. Meteorologists describe this as one of those rare weather patterns that occurs only once or twice per year, the type that brings cold air all the way to the Gulf Coast and even into Florida. There is just no escaping this cold outbreak. Nearly everyone east of the Rocky Mountains will feel its effects. All right, folks, listen up. This is important. The combination of significant snow and ice accumulations, along with this frigid weather, could cause power outages and icy roads to linger a lot longer than usual after a typical winter storm. It is crucial that everyone in affected areas takes appropriate precautions. The National Weather Service strongly recommends that people make sure they have on hand at least a few days' worth of food, water, medications, and other basic necessities for themselves, their families, and their pets to sufficiently ride out these dangerous conditions. Now, let's talk about cold weather safety. Dress in layers, including a hat, face mask, and gloves if you must go outside. Limit your time outdoors to prevent hypothermia and frostbite. Watch for signs of frostbite like numbness, white or greyish-yellow skin, and unusually firm or waxy skin. Keep an eye out for signs of hypothermia too, including shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech, and drowsiness. Be sure to check on elderly neighbours and those without adequate heating. Never use generators, grills, or any other gasoline or charcoal-burning devices indoors. They produce carbon monoxide, which can be deadly. And don't forget to bring pets indoors. If it's too cold for you, it's too cold for them. For power outage preparation, have flashlights and extra batteries ready. Keep your cell phones fully charged. Have a battery-powered or hand-crank radio available. Stock up on non-perishable food that doesn't require cooking. Fill bathtubs and containers with water in case of water service interruption. Have alternative heating sources like extra blankets and sleeping bags. Know the locations of warming centres in your area. Now for travel safety. Avoid unnecessary travel during winter storms. If you must travel, inform someone of your route and expected arrival time. Keep an emergency kit in your vehicle, including blankets, food, water, a flashlight, first aid kit, and jumper cables. Check your vehicle's battery, tyre pressure, and antifreeze levels. Keep your gas tank at least half full. Allow extra time for travel and reduce speed in winter conditions. And, for ice storm precautions, stay away from downed power lines and report them immediately. Avoid walking or driving under tree limbs weighted down with ice. Listen to local authorities regarding road closures and travel advisories. Have alternative plans if your home loses heat. And please check on neighbours, especially elderly or vulnerable individuals. Now, moving on to disaster resources. State and local governments are leading recovery efforts in coordination with the American Red Cross and other voluntary organizations. Shelters and warming centers have been opened across affected states to assist individuals impacted by the winter storm. To find a shelter near you, text SHELTER and your zip code to 43362, for example. Shelter 12345. You can also use the American Red Cross Shelter Map online or download the FEMA app for real-time information. If you need more help, contact your local emergency management office. State-run warming centers are available in states experiencing widespread power outages. If you have lost power and can safely travel, check your state's emergency management website or contact local authorities for the nearest warming center location. NASA Disaster Response. NASA's Disaster Response Coordination System was activated on January 26th to support state and federal stakeholders, including the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, the Texas Division of Emergency Management, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, FEMA Headquarters, and FEMA Region 4. NASA's Earth-observing satellites are providing critical data to help emergency managers understand the extent of snow coverage and plan response efforts. Climate context. Scientists note that the disrupted polar vortex bringing this extreme cold may be linked to climate change, though, the debate is not settled, and natural variability still plays a significant role. The increasing frequency of polar vortex disruptions has been observed in recent years, leading to more extreme winter weather events. The January 2026 winter storm, it represents a return to old-school winter conditions across much of the Northern Hemisphere, departing from the milder patterns of recent years. This sure serves as a reminder of the power of high-latitude climate systems and the importance of being prepared for extreme weather events. Regional Impact Summary. In the Northeast, folks are dealing with the aftermath of heavy snow, dangerous cold continues, and there's an additional snow threat this weekend. Over in the mid-Atlantic, ice and snow impacts persist, extreme cold warnings are in effect, and another weekend storm threat is on the horizon. Down in the southeast, catastrophic ice storm damage has left hundreds of thousands without power, and a rare hard freeze threat is still hanging on. The Midwest is getting hit with relentless lake-effect snow, dangerous wind chills, and multiple Arctic blasts. Around the Great Lakes, the ongoing lake-effect snow machine is churning, and frigid temperatures are expected to stick around through early February. Out in the Pacific Northwest, heavy precipitation continues, with a strong onshore flow and mountain snow in the forecast. And up in Canada, extreme cold is gripping the nation, with the prairie provinces facing the worst conditions, and Ontario under some very cold wind chill warnings. Conclusion. As we continue to monitor this dangerous and honestly ever-changing weather situation, it's clear that the next several days will be critical for millions of people across North America. The combination of heavy snow, destructive ice, and life-threatening cold creates a multifaceted disaster that really requires vigilance, preparation, and community support. Winter Storm Fern has already claimed 62 lives and caused billions of dollars in damage. As we face additional winter weather threats this weekend and continued dangerous cold into early February, it's absolutely essential that everyone takes this situation seriously. Stay informed by following the National Weather Service, your local emergency management officials, and trusted weather sources like SkyAlert USA. Check on your neighbors, especially the elderly and vulnerable. Have a plan, have supplies ready, and please don't take unnecessary risks during this dangerous weather pattern. We'll continue to bring you updates as this situation develops. Stay safe, stay warm, and stay informed. This is SkyAlert USA.